Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the first 75K tutorial. Wow, 75K tutorial. Already an amazing start. And today I'm going to have remade this. I made a sound. That's not the sound. I made this sound. And this is how it sounded originally in Knife Party's 404 song. I didn't quite perfectly nail it, but I got basically the point of it down. And I kind of did a little bit of brute forcing. What I mean by brute forcing is when there was probably a little bit more of an elegant process that created the sound and likely didn't use as many layers as I actually put into this. But I don't know what that was, so I made sort of the parts individually. And these individual parts are this background, this sine wave, layered together, and then this squelch, layered together, and then EQ'd. That's what that happens. That's what that was. Now, the main brute forcey element here was the squelching aspect, because there are ways to get squelch out of Harmor without resorting to FM, but with the particular way that I'd already built this guy up, it made it a bit difficult to do that without losing other aspects that I wanted to keep. So I just did it in Citrus, and this one is pretty simple. A high-pitched sine wave modulated by a bass level sine wave, which when we're using Harmor is actually lower than it is by default, because Harmor defaults to ratio 1, where Citrus defaults to ratio 2, which is an octave higher, because ratio is double the ratio for octave higher and half the ratio for an octave lower. The fuzzy background business here is I changed the harmonic phase, and this is actually a weird little epiphany for me, because I wanted to use Prism. And the thing that Prism does is that Prism moves the harmonics out of harmonic position and puts them, well, wherever you want, really. By default, it's using this graph, which I didn't change, so it's by that graph. And the thing is that when it moves all, they'll all be in different pitches, but they all are by default in the same phase, which means they start out together still good, and then you get the phasey kind of weirdness out of it. And the thing is I wanted the phasey weirdness, but I didn't want it to start together. I wanted it to start at the phasey weirdness. And this means I didn't want them to be in phase. So that's meant that I went to harmonic phase, and I made a big wave graph from beginning to end, and this ensures that all of the harmonics are not in phase, which creates this kind of weird shape, because everything else is pretty much still regular. I went to the global EQ and I peaked up a bunch of stuff just to give emphasis in particular locations to drive the distortion, which is not being done internally. It's being done with that wave shaper on the outside. This thing is leaning heavily towards the sine wave that is at ratio 7, just because that's the pitch it was at. That's why I put it there. There's not really any reason for that other than that. Due to notable things inside the Citrus were that when you squelch it, it creates a very specific business right there. And it's, so, I mean, I EQ'd it down here, but there's nothing else happening down there. And that kind of high-pitched birdie sound kind of coexists right up in this one top. So if you get rid of that, it sort of brings it around. You might be thinking, well, I can still hear it, and that's because it's not what it sounds like when it's all together. So everything is in context. And then this EQ is mostly just shaping to kind of create this little gully that's in there. It was probably a separate sound that was layered on top of it, because that would make more sense than what's happening. I didn't even check it later in the song to see if it changed pitch at all ever, but if it did, this would probably be a problem for you. But I'm sure you're smart enough to figure out a way around it. Anyway, that's it for today. This one was requested by Aceleyace, or Aceleyace. I don't know how to say the name. And this was the first 75K tutorial. Good times. I'll put up this patcher for download. If you'd like to make a request, the link to the Reddit thread is in the description of this video. Make a request only in the Reddit thread. Any requests made anywhere else will be ignored completely. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as usual, have a nice day. Boy, the endings for these just got a lot longer.